The differences between the North and the South.
By Hailey Smith and Megan Reed. The North was known for its technology and its industrialization. The industrialization had 3 phases. The first phase, manufacturers make products dividing tasks among workers. The second phase involved manufacturers making factories to bring specialized workers together. The third phase was machinery. This is a map of the major railroads in 1860. Trains clipped along at 20 to 30 miles per hour by 1860. In 1833, the 136-mile Charleston and Hamburg line was the longest railroad in the world. Americans loved their railroads in spite of irregular schedules, frequent breakdowns, and being showered with sparks from the locomotives.
The South's economy was very different from the North. They did not industrialize. Instead, they were farmers and traded goods. Their most common good was cotton, which was good for slavery. This map is a map of the cotton production from 1820 to 1860. As you can see, that this and this are very different. Cotton increased from 1820 to 1860.
Industry revolution increased the needs for an educated society, so they created one and started public education. There were 3 social classes in the North: upper class, middle class, and lower class. Upper class involved politicians, industrialists, and businessmen. Middle class involved farmers, and the middle class increased during the industry revolution. The lower class included poor farmers. This is a chart of agriculture and non-agriculture workers 1840 to 1870. You can see that the agriculture decreased over the span of 30 years. But while agriculture was decreasing, manufacturing would increase.
The South and the North had different culture and social. The South was very agricultural, which made it ideal for slaves. They feared modernism. Their social, they had wealthy plantation owners and were found at the top of their social class who owned the most slaves. The small-time white farmers owned some slaves, and the low-class farmers had no slaves. And slaves were at the bottom of the social ladder. If you were poor in the South, it would be hard to work your way up to the top to become rich. But as in the North, when you're poor, you can work yourself up. This is a map of the Southern population in 1860. As you can see in this map, most of it was not slave owners, white slave owners. The red is the slaveholders, and the blue is the African Americans, and only 2% was freed African Americans. So this map shows that the North and South had very different populations in 1860. The North, as you can see, was mostly white and only 2% was African American. The South was 66% white and 34% African American, meaning that the South had a lot more slaves and African Americans than the North. The North's geography was very different from the South. They had frozen winters and hot, humid summers, and they had bays and harbors. Their geography was not good for farming, so they turned to trade and crafts. Farming was very hard because of the rocky soil and frozen winters, which made this place not ideal for slaves.
The South's geography had mild winters and long, hot, humid summers. Their crops were indigo, tobacco, and corn. They had a long growing season. They needed slaves to help out and do the work for them because of the long growing season.
The North's politics. Sectional differences with the South led to political differences. The North were abolitionists. Rather than having individual states' rights, they had traditional, strong central governments. They supported rises for eliminating expansion of slavery. They had a growing population, which allows growth and power in the Congress.
Sectional differences with the North led to political differences. Support for the state's ability to nullify federal laws.
This map shows what states voted for the presidents in 1860. As you can see, Republican Lincoln was blue, Southern Democrat was green, Constitutional Union was orange, and Northern Democrat was turquoise. Lincoln was never on the ballot, but he still won the electoral votes, as you can see in this chart. The South didn't vote for him at all, as you can see down here. They were afraid that Lincoln would abolish slavery, so that's why they didn't vote for him. But even though none of the South states voted for him, he still won. This made the South worried because they were afraid that they didn't have any political say in the government.